incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Early on the target, right hand from my boy, double jab.
Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Ferrall has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. How about this? We start the third hour. We're going to do a double shot with my boy Joe Pisapia from Fantasy Sports today. Joe, it's great to see you. I want to start with baseball here today. You know, the Padres are really loading up their bullpen. They got Adam already in a deal a few days ago for 3 of their prospects, which I thought was relatively surprising. And then they did it again today, 3 more top prospects. But I think that Tanner Scott might very well be worth the 3. He's posted a 1.18 ERA for the season. Hitters are hitting 127 against him for the season. He hasn't allowed a run in 17 consecutive appearances going back to June 17th. And in that stretch, held opponents to a 0.91 average. That's crazy. So if he can pitch like that for the Padres, obviously in the stretch run, they're going to have a great bullpen.
Well, I have a lot of shares of Tanner Scott because this was a guy going into the year that I thought would be a really good, cheap reliever. And he was. I mean, going into this year, he wasn't really sought after, but he turned out to be a very good investment in fantasy. Now the problem is he going to close? Suarez has been there in that role. Some managers don't like to use lefties, but regardless from a baseball perspective, I think you have to appreciate what the Padres are doing here, which is they're trying their best to shorten the games here because they know that they have got a rotation that does have guys like Michael King in it, right? King is a guy that we're going past his probable innings limit that he's ever been to before, right? So down the stretch, you've got guys you hope that are come back at some point like Yu Darvish, like Joe Musgrove. We don't know. These guys aren't going to necessarily be 6, 7, or 8 inning pitchers. So what you need to do here down the stretch is if you can get those guys healthy, keep guys like King healthy. Dylan Cease has been very steady all year. The aggression is really good from the Padres front office. They don't care about prospects. They care about trying to win. You have to give them a lot of credit for that. But their path to winning does live in the bullpen. So this makes a lot of sense for them to bolster that bullpen, try to make these games a little shorter, and try to take some of the pressure off the starters because there's some age, injury, and an experience in that rotation.
Did you think that Crochet's agent and, you know, the fact that they got into it with the White Sox front office about this kid demanding that he's not, in the bullpen and he wants a long-term extension, do you think that's taking him off of the table for teams in the next 55 minutes?
I don't think it's taking the table off, but I think it's making things a little bit more difficult. I don't blame the kid for wanting to get paid, okay? Because the White Sox system is one you want to get out of if you're Crochet. There's no winning there anytime soon. But you're also asking a guy to go well over his innings high limit, pitch into September, October. Now, the good thing about Crochet is that from a physical standpoint, you're talking about a guy who's 6'6", 245, 250. He's a bigger kid. So you got to figure physically he can hold up. It's the elbow, it's the arm, it's the reconstructive Tommy John surgery thing that we're all just kind of holding our breath a little bit. And then what does that look like next year? So even if he does go, say, to a Baltimore or somewhere else, even though Baltimore did just acquire their lefty, it looks like, what does it look like for him next year? He wants to protect himself. I get it. I think it's smart by this team that he has around him to try to get that long-term deal, to get that extension. He has not been good. He has been great this year. So why would he want to protect himself going to a contender where he's going to be needed and going far beyond the expectations he had for 2024? I get it. It's smart. I think it could have been handled a little bit better, maybe behind closed doors. But once again, this is not the world we live in. So I don't think it's impossible he gets dealt. I do think he does. I think he should. And honestly, I think it makes sense for a lot of teams out there that are looking for that 2 to 3 year window, that it's not just this year with Crochet. You want this guy in your rotation for the next couple years. And a rotation, I say, for the Orioles that has Burns, Garrett Crochet, and Grayson Rodriguez, that's something for the next 3 years that the rest of American League should be trembling about.
Well, what do you think, Joe, of the Orioles getting Rogers from the Marlins, the lefty that you talked about?
Well, this kind of slowed my steam a little bit here because I was very excited. I thought Crochet would be the guy because they've got the prospects to back up here, and they've got more prospects to spare. They have been growing these prospects for years. The field is just full of these guys, right? But when they acquired Rogers, I got a little concerned because, okay, there's that lefty starter. Now, Rogers is interesting because he is another one of these guys, big guy. We're talking 6'7", a huge kid, right? And he reminds me of some of those other big lefties that took a little bit longer of a time to develop. Sometimes those guys mechanically just can't get right. He has shown flashes at the major league level of having a lot of potential, but none of the consistency. So maybe if you get him to an organization that knows what they're talking about, that can somehow, turn him around, he's interesting, but I don't think he's the answer. And if you're in a dogfight here with the Yankees, I know the Yankees have their issues right now with Cole and his fatigue, and that was my biggest concern is how long is Cole going to pitch here for the New York Yankees? I think you're in a really intriguing situation here where I don't think Rogers is enough of a move, of a statement to your fan base and to the rest of this team. So I hope they're not done with less than an hour left, but I fear like this is the move that they decided to make for the rotation, and I don't think this is the one that puts them over the hump.
So what about Cole? Like, can you even imagine that he missed the whole season? He comes back, pitches 3 times, and now he's tired? Like, I called it wussified. What is the deal?
Why I can imagine it? I'll tell you why I can imagine it. Because I'm a Mets fan, okay? And I lived through Jacob deGrom. And every time we had this, right, Jacob deGrom, he's going to come back. It's going to be fine, right? Jacob deGrom, he's working his way back. He's striking out 20 guys in AAA. Awesome. He gets back here for a couple starts, and then what happens? He's out again. So anybody who's lived that cycle and that news cycle as a Mets fan with deGrom knows that this Cole thing was on borrowed time to begin with. How Masahiro Tanaka did what he did and skipped the Tommy John and somehow was able to pitch, but he was never quite the same guy. Look, I hope this is a blip on the radar for Garrett Cole. I'm not wishing injury on the guy at all, but this had to be weighing very heavily on the Yankees. And now that we're literally at the trade deadline, and this is the news you're getting here, you have to wait and see now, do the Yankees make any sort of panic move? Because I think any move that they make here, you have to be very leery of because it might tell you a lot more about Garrett Cole that maybe they don't want you to know.
What did you think of their lighter deal?
Next question.
All right, then what did you think of Blackburn the Pirate coming over the right-hander from the A's to the Mets?
Well, look, man, I think that what the Mets are trying to do is just appease the fan base a little bit and say, hey, the Senga thing, that was the deal. The deadline deal for the Mets was, Kodai Senga returning. Kodai Senga returned, had a great strikeout performance, and then he got hurt. Classic Mets. Like, this is just something we're used to. That's why I told people don't get your hopes up. But now they are kind of in this thing. Is Blackburn a difference maker? No, but I think they're just going to try to say, hey, can we get guys to go out there and give us innings down the stretch? And that's the one thing you can look at Blackburn and say, his time with the A's is a guy that, has given you innings. And I guess you'll take that. How the Mets are still hanging around, I'm not sure, but they are. It's a fun story. They've been a fun team for the last month and change here, which is a nice alternative. But, jokingly going back to the lighter thing, I don't think, again, this is a difference maker either. So the Yankees are in a weird position. I do like the Jazz Chisholm acquisition more from the versatility that he's going to provide. He played third base the other day, right? He can play second base. He can play the outfield. So that's good. It gives you versatility. If Jason Dominguez comes up and goes into the outfield, well, he can move Jazz Chisholm to the infield. and you basically have that, that ability to raise everybody up with that versatility. The downside to Chisholm is a career .310 on base percentage guy, and the Yankees struggled to create runs. They hit home runs, but they don't create runs. So not having that, that's a bit of a problem too. But so far, it's been a good energy with Jazz Chisholm. We'll see if it carries over much longer.
How do you like the DeJong going from the White Sox dugout over to the Royals dugout for that series on the south side of Chicago? And he has some pop in his bat.
Well, I can't remember the game. What was the name of the guy when the Mets and the Expos? You'll probably remember this too. Back in the '80s, where he went from Joel Youngblood, was it, who played for the Mets and the Expos, two different teams in the same day. See, I'm old. I remember these things.
Right,
but yeah, it's fun. It's fun when you have those moments in baseball, right? Only in baseball do you have those weird things like Luis Ariz breaks up Dylan Cease's no-hitter, and then all of a sudden gets the last out in his no-hitter finally in San Diego. Baseball is a weird game like that.
Yeah, and then we had the other one. Bell went to Arizona after Walker went down with the oblique last night. When we come back with Joe Pisapia, we'll talk about his upcoming fantasy football season.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
We're talking to Joe Pisapia, my boy from Fantasy Sports, today on Coast to Coast on a Tuesday late afternoon here in New York City. Good to have you with us on the TV side, on the radio side, on the app. Joe, your Black Book is out on Amazon already. It is a must-get, a must-read. It'll help everyone in fantasy without question. I know you're excited about the latest rendition.
Yeah, very much so. We got relative position value, the ecosystem, teaching people about how to invest in offenses that are actually going to be putting up points in 2024. It seems like a really simple thing, right? Invest in players on good offenses and your fantasy team will be better. But yet every year, time and time again, people make the same mistakes. So we're trying to knock that out of people and teach them to do it in a better way. But yeah, it's football season. Everybody's already looking at mock drafts. Everyone's already starting to put their plans together. And hopefully the Black Book on Amazon could be part of that for everybody.
So you're doing 5 shows a week already on the grid.
Well, on Fantasy Pros, Betting Pros, we're doing 5 shows a week. Still just the Sunday here on the grid, but I don't know. I feel like we could talk fantasy every single day here on SportsGrid if they wanted, or betting or anything. Football
I can't
all day
keep
long,
up with all
the
this.
time.
Who are some of your favorite props going into this season? What are you looking at? And win totals?
Well, looking at so far some of the props that we've got out there, there's some interesting ones that I just don't understand. Patrick Mahomes right now to lead the league in passing yards is at 42.25.5. Now that is an absurd number. I understand last year a disappointment, but if you go back 2 years ago, this is a guy that threw for over 5,200 yards. The year before that, 4,800 yards. And the 5,200 yard season, by the way, was without Tyreek Hill. So the notion of, well, that was when he had Tyreek Hill. No, it wasn't. It wasn't when he had Tyreek Hill. So yes, last year was a disappointment. Yes, it was horrible at certain times. You wanted to absolutely pull your hair out. But they did get Hollywood Brown. They did draft Xavier Worthy. They do have Rashee Rice coming back and hopefully a healthier Travis Kelce. So the notion that Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league who's searching for a three-peat, can't go to 42.25.5, I mean, that's absurd. Taking the over on that. And also, if you're going to invest in him, investing in him for MVP makes sense as well, because you can get him anywhere from plus 500 to plus 600 in certain markets. And then, of course, to lead the league in passing, you can get it at plus 650. So I know it sounds simple, like invest in Patrick Mahomes, but I think the number is just absurdly low. And I think the number for Derrick Henry is absurdly low, too. A player that last year on a terrible Titans team was, couldn't move the chains at all. And now he's going to the team that ran the ball better than anybody else, more often than anybody else, in the Baltimore Ravens. And you're telling me that all of a sudden his rushing total is going to be at 925.5? That's absurd. I think he's going to lead the league in rushing. You can get that prop as well, not to mention the over there. So you can bet him to lead the league in rushing at plus 1,000. And then on top of that, Derrick Henry for the total rushing yards, 925.5 at minus 112. Again, he was second last year on a terrible Titans team. They're going to move the chains in Baltimore, give him a lot more opportunities. I understand he's 30. I get that. But Barry Sanders led the league in rushing when he was 29. So let's not pretend like old man Derrick Henry can't get it done.
So there's all these drafts going on. You said there's a huge expert draft in New York this weekend. And then over the coming month up to Labor Day, there's tons of drafts, right? It's going to be crazy. What are some of your draft strategies that you like to give people?
Well, I think the first thing you want to do is look for some value in the marketplace, right? You're always looking for guys that are undervalued, guys who can jump from wide receiver 3s to number 2s, 2s to 1s, because that's how you win your league. I think right now, if you look at the marketplace, there's guys that are being grossly undervalued. Terry McLaurin has 4 straight years of 1,000 yards receiving. He's played with some of the worst slap-nut quarterbacks I've ever seen. And now you're giving him Jaden Daniels to work with. And here's the irony. If you look at the Vegas number on Terry McLaurin, it's 875.5. 875.5. 4 years in a row with 1,000 yards receiving with all these terrible quarterbacks, okay? Yeah, the Browns have had terrible quarterbacks. Have you looked at the Commanders list lately, folks? So Terry McLaurin is going to be a high-end wide receiver 2, I think, this year. He's being drafted as a 3. That's absurd to me. T. Higgins, another guy being undervalued in drafts, makes no sense to me. He was hurt last year. He's going at wide receiver 27. He could easily outperform that ADP, especially if Joe Burrow stays healthy and T. Higgins stays healthy. Just a couple years ago, he was being drafted as like the 14th wide receiver. Now he's the 21st. It makes no sense to me. Same with Jalen Waddle. Injured last year. The Dolphins paid him. If the Dolphins are confident, then why isn't everybody else? Because if you look at where he's going currently, again, it's absurd. Wide receiver 17, 18. He's gone as late as 20. And I just don't understand that. So there's a lot of value in the wide receiver market. When it comes to quarterbacks, I think you kind of let those top guys go off the board in single quarterback leagues. You look for the value of a Lamar or an Anthony Richardson who could break the game this year. Or you pivot late to guys like Dak Prescott. You know the Cowboys have to throw the football. He was QB3 last year. He's being drafted as QB10 most of the time now. Jordan Love, another guy who finished up really well. And then with the running backs, I think, again, Derrick Henry being undervalued, underappreciated in the marketplace. People just get tired of the greatness sometimes and the same old guys. Well, I'll take the same old guy who's going to rush for, 1,200 yards and score double-digit touchdowns. And you can go chasing the Kyron Williams and the foot issues and all the other things that exist out there. So don't ignore the veterans, some of them. Look for the value at wide receiver. Look for the upside at QB. And the tight end position this year, Scotty, is so good. Last year, people were panicking. This year, you've got Trey McBride. You've got Dalton Kincaid. Hopefully, Kyle Pitts with a real quarterback. There's a lot to be excited about when it comes to the tight ends this year. So it's a very good group, and I'm not even talking yet about Brock Bowers. So tight end is there. Again, take them as they fall to you. And Sam Laporta showed you that rookie tight ends can make a difference in fantasy.
Yeah, there's no doubt. What about, so you talked about Love. How many people are going to try to pounce on him? You think he's going to have another big year? What do you have, 32 TDs?
I think he is. And the question is, if Christian Watson is healthy, how good can Watson be, who is by far the most talented metric wide receiver on that team? If he stays healthy and finally puts these hamstring issues behind him, which he seems to have figured out, my goodness, Jordan Love could be even better and Christian Watson could be a star.
So how do they get the book on Amazon?
Just go right to Amazon, Fantasy Football Black Book 2024. It's easy to find, baby.
You're styling. Joe, it's great to see you. Thanks for all the killer insight today in baseball and football.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
The BetMGM first bet 1500 is incredible. How do you get it? 4 easy steps. 1, download the BetMGM mobile app on iOS or Android or go to BetMGM.com. 2, sign up, open an account, put $10 in. Boom, you're off and running. 3, place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. You heard me. And 4, if the bet does lose, your bonus bets up to $1,500 will be available once your initial wager is settled. You're going to love BetMGM's mobile app. Go to BetMGM.com. You'll figure it all out. You're going to love that $1,500 back in bonus bets. Believe me, you're going to tell your friends. They're going to do it. They're going to tell 10 friends and so on all day. Calgon. All right, Carver High, we go back to more NFL skinny.
We will in a moment. Let me give you, there's obviously the trade deadline's getting close here in about 35 minutes in Major League Baseball. And the Pirates have gotten involved, Scotty. Brian De La Cruz from the Marlins will go. Relief pitcher or pitching prospect was the return to Miami. But look, this is the kind of bat we were talking about. It's not Rooker. Obviously, Rooker, a much better bat. But that type of bat that will be an improvement over what the Pirates were already running out there. De La Cruz not a bad player, Scotty, on that Marlin team.
Yeah, I'll take it. At least they got a bat. You sit here and wait all week for them to do something, and they finally got somebody decent. You knew they couldn't score someone big. I had my druthers on Rooker that they could get him, and they didn't, but I'll take De La Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who's going to play for the Marlins tonight at this point in Tampa, to be quite honest with you, with all the trades that they've made so far today. I mean, geez, I don't even know how they're feeling the team. Toronto sent Trevor Richards, pitcher, to Minnesota. So really that's been it so far. Actually, another Pirate deal just came down the pike. So the Pirates also are going to get Isaiah Kiner-Falefa from the Blue Jays. Now, of course, you know him well from his Yankee days, Scotty. I'll tell you this. He was very good for Toronto this year. He played well. Now, he's been hurt. I'm guessing he's probably just about ready to come back. Or if he did just come back, I missed it. But IKF going to the Pirates. So IKF and De La Cruz both for the Pirates in the last few minutes.
All right, I'll take it. I have no choice.
You take anything at this point. I'll take it.
Than, for the Jays than he ever was for the Yankees. I'll give you that.
Yeah, no question there. I was going to look and see if he is, because I know he was out on the IL for a little bit, and if he had returned from the Jays since then. I'll get that for you, and I'll bring it back to you in a few minutes. So that's what's going on with the trade deadline. I'll keep you updated if anything else comes down, because we're getting close here, just about a half an hour to go. Let me squeeze you one more NFL. Jamar Chase is another guy who has not done anything with the Bengals in terms of on the field. He's another hold-in, I guess you could say. He's been there, he goes to meetings, but he doesn't practice. How does head coach Zach Taylor feel about all this? Well, he's really not going to let you know how he feels, Scotty, because they asked him 600 times and he really didn't answer.
4 days, no practice. Are you willing to call it a hold-in based off his contract?
I feel good about how we've communicated. He and I have been on the same page with everything he's done.
Oh, okay. What's he done?
I've been pleased with his interaction with his teammates and helping some of these young guys. So again, he and I are on the same page.
So he's talking to people.
That's a great question. He and I have talked through it, and we'll just continue to stick with our plan. My brother is killing me for my plan. He wants to know my plan.
Well, I'm bored to death with Zach Taylor. Honestly, what was that? That was just a waste of everyone's time. He's just Here's the deal. If you notice around the NFL, all of the best players want more money. They're just never satisfied. They're never getting enough money, and then they all do the same thing. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of, a hold-in. It's a holdout. What is the difference? The guy is in street clothes, and he's like, I'm so glad that he's communicating with our rookies and some of the guys on the team and talking to them. I mean, what's next? He's going to be a shrink? I mean, honestly, pay the guy or get rid of him.
When it comes to betting on sports, injuries matter, and Sports Injury Central has you covered all year long with expert injury analysis and injury-based picks for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Our former pro sports doctors have unmatched experience to analyze every injury so you know the impact of the player, team, and their upcoming matchup. Whether it's articles, podcasts, player insights, or our patented injury scores, Sports Injury Central will help you keep up with your fantasy team and make more informed wagers. So make sure you follow Sports Injury Central and gain an edge at sixscore.com.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High here with you, and good to have with us as always every week here on Coast to Coast is our man Smiley Kaufman. Of course, you can catch the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid multiple times per week. We got a big week ahead of us, of course. The Olympics once every 4 years, going for the gold medal. 60 golfers, going to be a lot of fun over in France. Smiley, good to see you as always, my man. But we have to start here, because we've got some big news for you in the Smiley Show here on the grid. Coming up in the next few weeks, of course, we've got the FedEx Cup playoffs around the corner. We've got 3 big stops, and you're going to be at all of them. I mean, you're going to be at all of them anyway, but you're bringing the Smiley Show to all of them too, which I love seeing. What do we got, Smiley?
Yeah, we're excited. Absolutely. I mean, just to have the PGA Tour, let us have some great access and do some shows on site. Charlie and I are pretty pumped. The 3 playoff events are in Memphis, Denver, and Atlanta being the Tour Championship. Hopefully going to put out some great shows, get some good guests, and keeping everybody in the loop on what's going on in the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And listen, it means a lot. They've added a lot of stakes now to the FedEx Cup playoffs in terms of where you need to be for things for next year, signature events, things like that. So it ain't just about for these guys winning the whole thing at the top. There's a lot at stake for being in the top 50, being in the top 10, etc. Let's get to, and next week the Wyndham is big too. I see guys jumping into that because they got to try to move up and down right before the playoffs. All right, Smiley, let's talk about the Olympics this week. Of course, Le Golf National over in France as we get set for the men's competition coming up here. And look, 60-man field. And we have kind of a mix of extreme heavy hitters at the top. You got a little bit of a middle. And then you got some guys in that 45 to 60 range. It's like, wow, these guys are in the same field as Scheffler and Rory and Rahm. So I think it's going to be really cool. What do you like most about this course that they're going to be at this week?
Well, this is where the Ryder Cup was played in 2018, Mike. And if you recall, the Europeans absolutely just wore us out in that event. The Americans really struggled to find the fairway. It's a type of golf course, too, that just really values putting the ball in play, hitting the greens. And
that is every golf course, but this one in particular, there's one side you can't miss it on, and most of the time there's some water on that side, and there's heavy rough on the other side. So we're talking about penalty areas, bulkheads with green. So playing out of the fairway, I think, is going to be of the utmost importance this week. Not exactly a bomb and gouge type of golf course. You're going to have to be very strategic in how you get around it. I think it's a very interesting board when you just put up the odds there, because obviously the top 6 guys, it's hard to pick a argument against any of those players, but I think there's actually some value down the board this week.
I think there is as well, Smiley. And I think when you get to an event like this, similar with a Ryder Cup or with some of these, there's all these narratives, guys from home countries. You have things built into the Olympics. This is another one that's come up a lot this week, and it did 4 years ago also. All the South Korean guys who are trying to get out of their military service by winning a gold medal. So everyone loves Tom Kim and Ben An this week for those reasons. Matthew Pavon, of course, from France, and he's had a big year. I think you're right about that middle to bottom being some value. And I'll throw one name at you, too, just because I saw he's played so well there on the DP World Tour, and he's played well in some majors this year. Is Thomas Dietrich. Is a guy that's kind of got my eye, too.
That's actually funny you say that. We have a show coming out tomorrow with all of our one-and-done picks on the Smiley Show, and you took a bit of the long shot that Charlie picked, which was Thomas Dietrich. The guy that actually I absolutely love this week is Alex Noren. Alex Noren's a guy that he's not a well-known commodity by any means, but he is one heck of a player. He gets up and down from everywhere. And at one point this year when I checked the bogey avoidance stat on the PGA Tour, meaning avoiding bogey the most, Alex Noren was number 1 and Scotty Scheffler was number 2. So this golf course, I think, kind of suits a player like that can get it up and down, but also be able to hit fairways and greens. And he's as good as it gets in that category.
Smiley, for a lot of these guys at the top, and me and you discussed a little last week about Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele and Player of the Year. And, we have a couple more of these big 10-pole events that they're going to have. This event is so unique in that, we have the majors every year. We have the Masters. We have the U.S. Open. Guys have it on the calendar. This is hard to get into, and it's once every 4 years. Only 2 guys have gold medals, in Rose and Xander. These guys talk about how special it would be to get to this week and how it, I'm not going to say means more than winning a major or winning the Masters, but, this has got to be on these guys' calendar because you can only do it once every 4 years.
Yeah, you make a great point, because we actually had Colin Morikawa come on the podcast in the last month, and he actually spoke about how he added 2 events earlier in the season to make a push to make it on this Olympics roster. And we've all seen how well Collins played this year. He mentioned that back in Bay Hill when he looked at the list, he wasn't even close to making it. And look where he is now. He's on the team. So there's guys that really want to be there, and there's other guys that maybe don't and just want to have a good time and enjoy the Olympics. But I actually am really interested too, because the Olympics is another opportunity for the LIV golf players like Jon Rahm, Joaquin Niemann, especially Joaquin Niemann, to go have a week. Let's say they win the gold medal. Not only do they win that, but it's a huge jump for them as far as official world golf ranking points, as you get world ranking points in this week. But having a gold medal attached to a Joaquin Niemann name, that carries a little bit of weight in getting into the major championships for a guy that's not earning world ranking points.
Yeah, and it's, you bring up Rahm, and, I picked him last week at LIV, and he ended up winning a nice 7-1 hit for him there.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
And we've been hot with the LIV, Smile. We've actually been on fire here with the LIV picks, believe it or not. But Rahm is coming into this, obviously Scotty and Xander get a lot of attention because they've been the 2 best golfers this year. But here comes Jon Rahm off of what I thought was a very gutsy performance Saturday and Sunday at the Open Championship with the way he played, and then winning on LIV last week in the UK. You see him in the 10, 11, 12-1 range, and I'm like, Jon Rahm, look out. Nobody's talking about him again.
I think it's another great play this week. Charlie picked Jon Rahm this week in our one and done, and I have a hard time finding a fault in that argument. I just think he looks like himself a little bit more over the last couple of weeks. I think the Open the Open Championship was a really good week for him, like you mentioned. But you mentioned Saturday, Sunday. I think Thursday, Friday, he didn't have his best stuff on Thursday or Friday, it felt like to me, in really tough conditions. And he just was right around par. And I kept thinking that he was going to be at 6-7 over par and be kind of on the cut line and just not having his best stuff. But really gutsy, gritty performance, and then having a Sunday like he did, like you had mentioned, and then going to finally win an event on the Live Golf Tour. Hadn't done it yet this year, a top 10 in every single one that he's played in, but we're used to seeing Jon Rahm win. So to see him win last week, you have to feel like he has a little momentum coming to the Olympics.
All right, Smiley. So what is your pick for this week for the men's Olympic competition in France?
I already mentioned him, Collin Morikawa. I just think that it's been a nice crescendo for this week. It's I kind of laid out what the golf course is all about. I think it kind of suits his game. He can kind of play these pure cuts on these tight fairways when he wants to, and we know what kind of iron game he's capable of, and he's shown that he's got that asset back, that his superpower, which is his proximity to the hole, and his putting's been great. So it's all been kind of leading up to a Collin Morikawa win, whether that's going to be at the Olympics or whether that's going to be in the playoffs. I just would be surprised to not see Morikawa hold a trophy or a gold medal here in the next month.
I'm with you, Smiley. It feels like he deserves to get a win at some point this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's played so well in all these big events that it's going to come. So I'm with you on Morikawa, and I'm with Charlie on Dietrich and Rahm. So let's go. We're all together this week, Smiley. We'll see you on the Smiley Show. Smiley Kaufman here on SportsGrid. We're back right after this.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just got this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, Jon Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? So obviously you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
Great stuff with Smiley, and we get back into some of the NFL news.
Yeah, a couple things first. There's a couple more bit trades here. The Mets get another reliever from the Marlins, Huascar Brazoban. So once again, as I said to you, the Marlins have made like 15 trades today. I don't know who's playing for them tonight in Tampa, but they're going to give it a shot. And this one just came through as well. The Orioles get Eloy Jimenez from the Chicago White Sox. So people thought that Luis Robert maybe would be the big bat that would go, but it is Jimenez, who got off to a huge start a couple of years ago when he came up, has had a lot of injuries the last few years. He goes to the Orioles, Scotty. So about 15 minutes to go until the deadline. We will see if anything else takes shape for us here with the MLB trade deadline. Back to the NFL, a few other things. You mentioned this quickly before. Steelers rookie wide receiver, third-round pick, Roman Wilson, carted away on the ankle injury. This is why we don't want guys playing in preseason games or with pads on, because they all get hurt, Scotty. We hate that.
Yeah, obviously it happens, and now it's stung my team, and all I know is that what I saw today was more of the same. Fields to Pickens, lighting it up on the Steelers, camp.
Did Russ practice today? Did Russ get back out there or no?
Yeah, I think he did, but then they pull. No, I could be wrong. I don't know if he did get back out there, because all I knew about of the news was the Wilson ankle. I don't know if they actually. He was supposed to get out there and work today, but all I saw was Fields to Pickens. I did see that highlight, so it looked to me like it was still Fields.
He did get out there today, by the way. I just watched some video of him with a helmet on running around on the field. So Russell Wilson did get some work in, but like you said, Fields with another big bomb there. John Elway yesterday in an interview said that not drafting Josh Allen was his biggest mistake as Broncos general manager. He took I think it was 5 or 6 awful quarterbacks in his career as the general manager after, of course, Peyton Manning left. And he never got it right, and he had Allen sitting in his lap that year, Scotty, and he didn't take him. John knows he did a bad job.
Well, at least he can admit it. I mean, the Bills ended up with this great quarterback, and the Broncos have never recovered.
You're correct. They have been awful since that moment when they took Bradley Chubb over Josh Allen.
And they still will be awful.
Yes, they still will be awful. Titans linebacker Arden Key, he's having a bad day. 6-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs. So not a good scene for him. The Bills signed safety Kareem Jackson, who, of course, has been with the Broncos and the Texans. He's around 35, 36 years old. Bills have had some injuries already, Scotty, in the defensive backfield, which is why they brought Jackson in. So they are dealing with him. So not a good scene. We hate injuries.
He's been playing forever. He's a 15-year vet, so I wonder what his speed is.
Probably not much, if I had to guess. That's why he was unsigned on July the 29th when they decided to bring him in. Let me give you this today. I've got some other things I'll hold off till tomorrow. The most bet teams to win the Super Bowl. Here they are, Scotty. The most bet teams to win it, 14.2%. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Lions, the Ravens, the Niners, the Eagles, the Bengals. Everybody running into the window for those teams. I'm just glad that my team, after the last couple years, has been at the, they've been one of the 1 or 2. I'm glad they've kind of fallen down to the middle now. Everybody stopped betting the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
They'll probably be better than ever, but I don't know. They lost a lot of players, really good players. I don't see how they're better by subtraction. Yeah. I really don't. They couldn't afford all these guys, so they're gone, and now they're going to, go young. They're going with the draft. They're trying to rebuild it, but they still have Allen.
I've said to you, I think this is a bridge year for them. I don't think they'll never tell you this, but I don't think they expect to win a Super Bowl this year or be in the AFC Championship game this year. I think they want to make the playoffs again and keep that momentum going, but they want to do it while bringing along a lot of new faces. And I think that's more what they're trying to do. I think that's the plan this year, is to have Allen get acclimated with Coleman and another year with Kincaid, and then next year, when the cap clears a little bit, add more pieces for a big run the year after and kind of reload. I think that's their thinking.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for them to make the playoffs. I really do. I think they're.
Yeah.
I don't think they're winning the East. I don't, but I think they'll be in it. And I think that they have as good a shot as anybody. All these grandiose jet predictions are a little overwhelming for me. I think, no one thinks the Dolphins are going to be any good. I think Tua is going to be good. I think they're going to be tougher than anyone thinks they are. I like their coach. They made the playoffs twice in a row. Something like that. They just can't win a playoff game. They need to win. I think it's going to be harder for the Bills with all those losses. I really do. We'll see. We'll see if they can put together a playoff team with everything that they gave up.
No doubt about that. So there you go. I'll have more NFL for you tomorrow. Lots of stuff as we get ready for our first preseason game coming up on Thursday night. We've done a lot of the Olympics, of course, with the basketball today. Spain beat Greece this morning, so Giannis pretty much all but done. They're going to have a very hard time getting out of the group play now since they're 0-2. Canada beat the Aussies 93-83. Canada's in great shape. France beat Japan in overtime 94-90. You talked about the 4-point play. In Germany beat Brazil in that last game of the day. 2 games tomorrow for you in the men's 5-on-5. And I like that I say that now because we're so into the 3-on-3. I have to call this the men's 5-on-5. Puerto Rico and Serbia in the morning with the Joker laying the 17.5 against that Puerto Rico team. And then tip-off, Scotty, when we start coast to coast at 3 o'clock East between the United States and South Sudan with the big fat piece there with the 29.5.
Got to win by 30, and Coach said they're going to blow them out because of what happened in the 101-100. So I'm not sure I'm buying that. And I think Serbia will beat up on Puerto Rico. I think Puerto Rico's awful.
I agree with you on that.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
Carver High. So everyone's still betting the Colorado Buffs in college football, and they're going to be sorely disappointed again.
They're going to be sorely disappointed. This will highlight our leftovers today. Everyone in every category is going to the window for Dion and the crew, and they just didn't learn their lesson from last year. Look at this. They are the most bet team to go over their win total with 5.5. The most bet team to go over their win total. But that's not all, Scotty. Would you like the rest? How about they are the most bet team to make the college football playoff? Look at this. They're the most bet team, 20-1, the most bet to make the college football playoff. We're not done, though. They're also the most bet team to win the national championship. They're the fourth most. I apologize on that. They're not the most. They're the fourth most for that one. Unbelievable. The Colorado Buffaloes. Everybody going to the window. Man, they're going to rip up all those tickets probably by
honestly,
early October.
What is wrong with people? Like, I don't understand that for 1 second. Why are they buying into this terrible team? Now they're back for more? What, do they change their colors? I don't understand. What makes them so feared? I don't get it. I'm not afraid of them at all.
We have, by the way, as the trade deadline is about 5 minutes officially away, we have found a home, Scotty, for Jack Flaherty. If you remember yesterday, there was that report from Bob that the Yankees were very close to getting him. The Yankees did not get Jack Flaherty. He is traded to the L.A. Dodgers. So the Dodgers get Flaherty right under the gun here. Ryan Yarbrough the Dodgers also got Kevin Kiermaier from the Blue Jays. So the Dodgers making a couple deals here at the line. The White Sox are not going to trade Garrett. Don't call me Davy Crockett because my name is Crochet by 6 o'clock. So he's going to stay. We played the clip of the GM earlier. Clearly, all their stuff and leaking things in the media is what kept that kid from getting traded to a contender. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, that's a good deal for the Dodgers. I don't know about the Kiermaier deal because he's shot, and I think these are his last few months in baseball, if you want to be honest. The IKF thing, he's hitting 292 as he's coming off the injured list. And then De La Cruz has 18 home runs for the Marlins. So 2 bats for the Pirates. They also got some pitching today that you've never heard of. So we'll see how that goes. Coco Gauff, a loser in tennis at the Olympics. And she was arguing with the linesmen and the officials. And it was all chaotic. Oakland reaches a deal to sell its share of the Coliseum complex, avoiding budget cuts. Going to keep all the people on the job. Apparently, they're going to, I think the A's on the other half of it, but they're going to sell it and they're going to build there. They're going to tear it down and they're going to build apartments, condos, restaurants, entertainment complex. Save East Oakland. Good luck with that crack hole. NYPD raids a brazen New York City nightclub. They discover a hidden warehouse with $10 million in illegal narcotics in it. A stash house, in other words. 25-year-old Arizona woman found dead and decomposing in her car alongside her alleged stalker. What a way to spend your final waning moments with your stalker decomposing in a car in the desert. New York teen hikers whack a perv with a fishing pole. Is that like whack-a-mole? They cannot stop him from performing a lewd act on them, though, with his own fishing pole. A New Jersey man arrested after ripping a seagull's head off when it tried to swipe fries from his daughter. He wasn't having it at all. Caught the bird in mid-flight and ripped its head off. Mosquitoes with West Nile virus are now confirmed in all 5 New York City boroughs. I'm scratching my leg as we speak. Ex-Harvard women's hockey coach accused in a naked skate hazing allegation sues the Ivy League. Why can't we have a naked skate on this campus if our president is a plagiarist? GTD is next. Go to FerrallOnTheBench.com. Check out my videos on there. They're uncensored and dirty. You'll love them. We'll see you tomorrow. 3 on.